You're making a big mistake if you're rejecting time off requests with a simple no. Most managers tend to be dropping the ball here, not because they want to be the bad guy, but because they don't realize the damage a flat out no can do. There is very clearly a right way and a wrong way to reject these types of requests, and a poorly handled rejection can erode trust faster than you think. Let's be honest, no one enjoys rejection. It's uncomfortable, it feels personal, and you don't want to come off as unsympathetic or worse, like you don't care about your team's well-being. But here's a hard truth. There will be times when you have to say no. Maybe it's your peak season. Maybe the person asking is critical to an ongoing project. Or maybe half the team is already off during that week. Whatever the reason, the rejection isn't the problem. The real problem is how you handle it. Hey, it's David here, and make sure to stick around for this video, because by the end of it, you'll know exactly how to reject an employee leave request without creating resentment, damaging morale, or looking like the office villain. Let's start with this. Leave requests are more than just calendar items. To an employee, asking for time off can be seen as a moment of vulnerability. They're sharing something personal, whether it's time off for a vacation with the family, attending a wedding, or simply a mental health reset day to avoid burnout. If you shoot it down with a cold "not approved," you're not just rejecting a request, you're sending a message. Either "I don't value your time" or "your needs don't matter." And those messages, they don't just sting in the moment, they linger. According to a study by Glassdoor, 50% of employees feel guilty about taking a vacation. That's before getting denied. And research from SHRM shows that employees who don't feel supported in taking time off are more likely to burn out, disengage, and eventually quit. Translation: mishandling this costs you more than just awkwardness. It costs you loyalty, productivity, and even your top talent. Let's look at a common example. An employee sends you a message, "Hey, I'd like to take next Thursday and Friday off. Just need to recharge." On your end, you're buried in deadlines. The team is already short-staffed and your stress level is through the roof. So you reply, "Can't approve that right now, too much going on." Should be fine, right? But here's how that message actually lands. It lacks empathy, feels dismissive, gives no clear explanation, and worst of all, shuts the door on any conversation. The employee now walks away thinking, "Guess I'm not allowed to rest when I need it." Now multiply that feeling across a team of 10, 20, 100, or even 1,000 employees, and that's how morale erodes, one short response at a time. So what should you do instead? Well, the key here is to shift from rejection to redirection. Let's break it down in 5 steps. Number 1, start with empathy. Before you say anything else, make sure to acknowledge the request in a thoughtful manner. You could say things such as, "Thanks for the heads up. I appreciate you planning in advance." Or even, "Just got your request and we'll review it soon." This will obviously depend on the type of request and how far in advance it comes in, but regardless, all of these responses show that you're not just brushing them off, you're actively listening. Number 2, be honest but clear. If the timing doesn't work, say it, but do it respectfully and in a way that doesn't feel like a power move. Instead of saying something like, "Your request has been rejected, you cannot have that time off," try something more along the lines of, "I wish I can give you that time off, but here are the challenges we're facing that week." Make sure to explain the context behind the decision. It could be that there's a big looming deadline coming up, or maybe too many team members are currently away. Either way, you gotta give the why, not just the no. People don't tend to get upset when they get an explanation, they get upset when they don't. Number 3, offer alternatives. This is where most managers stop, but if you want to show that you truly care, go further and engage in a conversation with the employee. You can ask things such as, "Would the following week work instead?" Or, "Can we split the days and have some fall in one week and the others fall in another week?" Or even just looking at the calendar together to find a time slot. The goal here isn't to block them, but to find a time that works for everyone. When you do this, you go from the person who says no to the person who helped them make it happen. Number 4, document and plan ahead. If the request has to be rejected and there was no other time that works for your employee, then make it clear that it's only temporary and not necessarily a hard no forever. Be sure to follow up with the request once a certain date has passed. It could be after a product launch or even once a schedule gets released. Either way, keep it on your radar and set a reminder. Following up not only builds trust, but also shows that you're not just paying lip service. Number 5, keep it consistent. Nothing damages team culture like inconsistent rules. If Emma was denied PTO because it is a peak period, but then Jake was approved immediately after for those same days off, people will talk. So set clear policies and stick to them. But that doesn't mean you can't be flexible. You just need to be fair and not random. If and when you make exceptions, just make sure that you're transparent about why. Now that you have all 5 steps, the real challenge is balancing business needs with empathy. Here's the tension that every manager faces. Their team needs time off to decompress and to thrive, but the business has needs too. So how do you walk that line? Well, it starts with proper planning. Know your team's workload, anticipate high volume seasons, and use a PTO management tool. The better you plan, the fewer last minute conflicts you'll have to resolve. Take CrossnoKaye for example. They're a startup that builds industrial control software. Before implementing a proper leave tracking tool, managing time off was a mess. Different teams had different systems, and people didn't know who was off, when, or why. That lack of visibility led to misunderstandings and yes, denied time off. But after they switched to automated tracking, they raved about how clear things were across the entire company. Now, they can spot conflicts in advance, plan accordingly, and avoid having to reject requests at the last minute. It's not about being the bad guy, it's about setting up a system in place so you don't have to be. And when a tough moment comes, one where you have to say no, remember this. What matters most isn't whether the employee walks away happy, it's if they walk away feeling respected. Rejecting a leave request doesn't have to mean closing the door. Think of it like a flight delay. You're not canceling their plans, you're just rerouting the path. Employees are remarkably understanding if you respect their needs, communicate clearly, and show a willingness to help. That's what builds culture. Not perks, not free snacks, respect. In summary, here's what you need to remember when you say no to a time off request. Always acknowledge the request with empathy, explain why the timing doesn't work, offer alternative dates or options, follow up and make good on promises, and be consistent with everyone. How you reject leave says just as much as how you would approve it. And when done right, it's not a moment of tension. It's a chance to build trust and show mutual respect. Thanks for watching this video. If you want fewer awkward time off requests to begin with, then make sure to check out our last one on how to create the perfect leave policy. You can check it out by clicking right here, because saying no is a whole lot easier when you have clear rules from the start. That's going to be all for me for this one, and until next time, happy vacationing.